Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today, we're going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. You can catch our Out of the Theater review in the description below, and this is going to be a full spoiler review of the film. We're going to dive deep into the plot and details of the movie. So, if you haven't seen it yet, please, bookmark this and come back and watch it later.
Also, if you don't care, continue watching.
Yes, just don't spoil it for other people. It's fucked up. I think it's no surprise that neither of us like the movie.
Mm-mm.
Didn't stop the box office from going crazy though.
Oh boy.
Which hey, look, I'm happy about. The reason I'm happy about it is
Mhm.
because I went to the theater with a lot of kids. They ate this movie up,
I believe that.
loved it, and
I watched it at home as God intended.
and that was, but like seeing it with like that was nice. As much as I didn't like the movie,
Mhm.
the kids were loving it, eating it up, and like this is gonna be a kid's like gateway horror movie that like really gets them into horror movies, and I'm excited about that, especially just because the lore runs deep for like the younger audience, and the box office is going to reflect that in spades.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's an audience for every movie.
Yeah,
And
and of course Hollywood's going to learn the wrong lesson and go, oh, we should try Day and Date again, or oh, we should try this again, when really it's, hey, if we make movies for the younger audience, they'll come out in droves to watch them.
yeah,
That's the lesson, guys. Please
especially
don't
for
learn the wrong
a
lesson.
lore-heavy movie.
Yes. But now let's get into the actual
Yeah.
movie itself. I'm going to start on a positive note. Josh Hutcherson can do no wrong in my book. Love him.
That's fair.
I thought he did perfectly fine in the movie.
He did good with what he had.
Yeah. The sets and the animatronics I liked a lot.
Very cool.
Yes. Well done.
Very well done. I mean, the Henson Company, what do you expect?
Yeah. The lawyer character is one of my favorite movie characters of all time. And I mean that most sincerely.
The one that just kept trying to leave.
Yeah.
It's like, I should not be
Yeah,
here
and
for
just
this.
when it would cut to him and he would just hilarious joke. It worked every time with him on screen.
And was it Matt Pat? Is that the cameo?
yes, yeah.
That's just a theory.
Yeah, yeah.
Very forced, but also I was like, why are we
Yes.
doing this?
But hey, listen, my theater
Oh, I believe it.
went nuts.
You would think that Captain America just caught Thor's hammer.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it's about where the positives end for me. And look, on the movie nights, we don't like to just shit on movies. That's not what we do. It's not why we get clicks to be negative. But it's also important when doing a movie review to be constructive and explain our thoughts and feelings and break them down as to why to communicate to you, the audience. If you agree or disagree, great. You can even comment about if you agree or disagree. I love the discussion. That's the whole point. I especially love when we disagree on a movie. It makes it really fun. But, be respectful in the comments. We're going to be respectful of the same thing. It's still someone's work. It's still a movie, and we're going to treat it with that respect. I didn't like this movie at all. Like, I really didn't. And I feel bad. The filmmaker who made it, her name is Emma. Hold on, I'm going to get her name right. Emma Tammi is her name. I haven't seen her. I believe she did an indie film before this. I haven't seen it. I've heard it's quite good. I personally just didn't think the film worked on a directing level. I didn't think it worked on a script. The script was the biggest problem for me. And even as someone like, this is also coming from the people who've never played. I've never played. Have you ever played?
I've played a few of them, like, sporadically, but
Not like,
very, very, very casual fan. I did
Okay.
one VR version of it, which was fun,
Okay.
but like, for example, the end, I was unfamiliar with Springtrap
okay,
kind
got
of
it.
thing. But I knew, like, William Afton, I knew security guard, like, I knew that kind of side of the lore.
I gotcha. Okay, but yeah, I never played the game, but I did familiarize myself with the lore of the film going into it.
Mm-hmm.
There were still some things I didn't quite catch that were explained to me later. But like, I think where my big problem stems with the movie is the characters were not smart. Like none of them.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for example, the Vanessa character, who's like very deep history in the games, was such a poorly written character.
Mhm.
The performance didn't work either, but to the actor's credit, though, didn't have a lot to work with there.
Mm-hmm.
And at no point did Josh Hutcherson's character just be like, hey, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, she would show up as a police officer and go, oh, isn't this place weird? And she knows where everything is, and she knows all this stuff. And, like, there's small questions like, oh, how do you know that? Or blah, blah, blah. And then she casually says shit like, oh, have they started walking around yet? What do you mean? Have they started walking around yet? Like dive into that. Like, it just kind of was, she would show up, give exposition, and leave.
Well, and also, like, the scene where they all build the fort.
Yeah.
Right? And she's into everything. It's like, oh, this is where they kept them. And they're playing around with these demented animatronics,
Mhm.
and everything's fine, right? They're building the fort, music's playing, and then the little girl goes up and she strums the guitar and gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
And then the cop has like this freak out of like, it is dangerous for her
Mhm.
here. If you bring her back, I will shoot you.
Yeah.
And you're like,
You're like, what the
you
shit
were
was
just
that?
building a fort with
Yeah.
her with
Yeah.
the demented
Just
robots that
threatened
just
to murder him.
What?
Yeah, but there was stuff like that with that
Yeah.
character the whole movie.
Yeah.
And like it was just aggravating to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, even if I don't even know if she's a real cop, it could have been fake the whole time. Like honestly, with but even if that was the
Well, I
case,
think that was the intent with the reveal
Yeah.
at the end.
yeah, but even if that was the case, you got to make it at least somewhat believable that you're a cop. Like I kind of was like, what the fuck is going on? Like the whole time I'm like, this is not normal. Like this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone who gets in trouble as much as Josh Hutcherson's character does, you'd think he recognizes when a police officer is doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's like
He's like, do you not have other calls? You're still in uniform.
yeah, like what is this? Like I don't like that was annoying. I often get reminded frequently of how vast the average movie-going audience is. Because when the movie started, Kyler leaned over and said, like, Matthew Lillard's like the villain, right? And I was like, oh yeah, like probably. And then when it happened, when I tell you there were audible gasps,
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, right.
Fair.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, he was having fun. I'll give it that.
Yeah. The editing, I don't know. I watched it on my computer on Peacock.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe there was some lag issues on mine and like the playback, whatever. Was the editing off for a lot of the scares for you? So I'll give you one example. In the beginning, when he first arrives and he opens the locker and there's that little balloon guy.
Yeah.
What it looked like on mine was he opens it, you see it, it cuts back, and he goes like very like off on the editing.
I didn't catch that.
I got that
in
with
the
a lot.
theater.
Like there seemed to be a lot of lag between the jump scare and the reaction. Did
Oh.
not seem in sync a lot.
Okay. Not something that I caught on my end.
Okay.
Another positive I'll give the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like the attempted story with Josh Hutcherson's character.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have bought my suspension of disbelief of him doing the dream stuff.
Yeah.
If I liked the movie a little bit more. Since I didn't like the movie, it got annoying. But the whole idea of him, like, he lost his brother, and so he doesn't want to lose his sister. Like, I was in that. I was following that.
Mm-hmm.
But the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I was more interested when we weren't at Freddy's. Like, I'm like, I'm more interested in what this story is.
Well, there's so much other like lore. I think that was just as a casual, not even like just again super casual understanding of it. It's just like, okay, so you hid the bodies in the animatronics. Are we to believe the bodies are still there?
Yeah.
Did they not smell the decay, and the ghost, there was the hand that grabs the person, and you're like, okay, so like what's actually occurring here?
Yeah. And another thing was, I've seen some people complain that the movie wasn't rated R. I don't think the movie needed to be rated R at all. Especially like with the violence part of it. Like I thought it worked perfectly well. The only part of the non-R rating that got to me was the language, because you have characters saying like, oh my goodness, like the driver says that.
Yeah.
And like there's more, like if an animatronic,
that cab driver's just ready to drive
a
small child.
Yeah. And it's just like it's stuff like that that was
Yeah.
just like, what are we doing? Like, and the movie didn't establish a tone that it was going to be willy-nilly like that. Like it tries to be a very down-to-earth movie for what it can be with the subject matter of ghost kids and a fucking animatronic.
Yeah.
But like, I think the movie had a lot of potential, and if they make a second one, I'll be interested to go see it. They're fucking, with this money, they're definitely gonna make a second one. But it was just, for me, it just fell flat on every storytelling avenue, and I tried to actively get into the movie, and I just couldn't.
Like I'm sure like the Springtrap outfit with the reveal at the end is something canon, but it felt like it came out of nowhere, and I was like, if he's just killing people, why does he need the suit? And then the animatronics can control metal now, because it started to like all that stuff. I was like, I feel like I'm missing so much that's occurring right now.
Yeah, I think that one, I think they established earlier, like there's a malfunction in the suit if you hit a certain thing, and I think one of them hit it. And it
okay, maybe I missed that part.
Yeah. But
watching, I was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, but like you didn't care enough to look for those details by that point in the movie, and I think that's the problem.
Like, he wears a suit. Why not?
Yeah.
Like.
But, and and like, I'd be interested in the story, because I know a lot of people are going to say, like, oh, it's just not made for you and your generation, whatever. I would be interested in the story. I went to see the movie because I thought it looked interesting.
Yeah.
It just, to me, it didn't encapsulate somebody who was unfamiliar. Like, it just, at all, nothing about the movie that I watched made me wanting to watch it again or tell someone about it. I was just thoroughly underwhelmed pretty much the entire
There
way.
is making a movie for fans, but also making it accessible to a wider audience.
Right.
And I feel like it didn't do a good job of trying to lure you in at that. It was like, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah. And even then,
Sucks to suck.
but even then, I'll make the comparison to Ahsoka.
Mhm.
That show was clearly, bless you, that show was clearly made for people who had watched Clone Wars and Rebels,
Yes.
not me. However, it still had a functional story
Mhm.
that I was interested in, and character arcs, and decent scripts some of the time.
Yeah.
But like this movie, the script was terrible. I didn't like any of the characters. I thought the direction was a bit flat. The only thing keeping me in it was like the production design and the animatronics. Sorry, my dog's barking if you can hear that. But it just, and I wanted to like it, and by the way, if you like this movie, I think that's fantastic. I would never take that away from you, especially if you're on the younger side. I love that you love this movie. I just wish I did too.
And there's a lot of great horror to branch into from
Yes.
here as well.
Dive into it. Dive into horror from here.
And also, if you're interested in a good Five Nights at Freddy's movie, there's one called Willy's Wonderland, and it stars Nick Cage. And it is a knockoff. It is the Walmart Five Nights at Freddy's, but man, is it great.
Yes, and it didn't make nearly the money that Five Nights at Freddy's was making.
Oh, God, no. I think it was video on demand.
Probably. Most
But-
likely.
Man, check that one out, too. It's fun as hell.
Yes. Oh, yes. So yeah, unfortunately, not a recommend from us, but that doesn't mean that you won't necessarily like it, because a lot of people at the screening I went to were really eating the movie up. And I got an A- cinema score, so clearly a lot of people are liking it.
Yeah.
So hey, I'll always celebrate movies being liked. With that down, I've been Dalton Burdett.
I've been Nick Irikia.
See you on the next review.